Hello everyone. Today, our group will discuss about our problem tree regarding various social issues. This is the problem tree that we have created based on the information that we have gathered as a group. As a group, we have decided to settle on the problem poor governance, and now our group will discuss the causes of this problem. First is lack of transparency. When there is lack of transparency, it will create a division and trust issue between the government and its people. The next is weak justice system. In a weak justice system, the law is not enforced strongly and the system is very susceptible to abuse. Lastly is corruption. Due to the lack of accountability and justice, those that are in position can easily abuse their power for their own gain. All of these factors causes poor governance, and now my group mates will discuss the effects of this problem.
Corruption harms economic efficiency and growth, particularly in developing countries. It affects a lot of factors such as taxation, investment, public expenditure, and increasing production costs. Economic growth is hindered by corruption, since a corrupted economy does not function well. Corrupt officials use the money allocated for financial programs and projects for their own benefit. Corruption produces poor economic growth, and poor economic growth leads to other social issues and concerns.
Public frustration. When there is corruption, people lose trust in their leaders, social institutions, and even society and morals when they perceive widespread corruption and the failure to hold corrupts accountable. When this political non-accountability rises, such beliefs persist for a long period of time, and that's when public's political engagement declines. Moreover, public frustration and the perception that corruption is common may encourage citizens to participate in doing corrupt activities or transactions. Like for example, there was a rider that was stopped by a traffic officer, and in order to avoid a ticket, the rider bribed the traffic officer who willingly accepted that bribe. What I'm trying to point here is that social norms may foster corrupt behavior, since citizens believe that because corrupt officials have not been held responsible, it's alright for them to do the same. When we observe our leaders doing the same thing over and over again, it becomes normal to some people until they adapt that behavior to themselves. And that's when public frustration becomes cynicism.
One of the effects of poor governance is unemployment. It may not be one of its direct effects, but it is part of the domino effect interrelated with poverty caused by the situation. The resulting situations from the poor governance causes the countrymen to be deprived of opportunities to get them employed in order for them to provide for their families.
The major problem is poor governance, and the social issue that I propose is low wages, which falls in the category of effects. It is an effect of poor governance because with poor governance, they're not able to deliberately distribute the correct funds to the projects because as those money probably pocketed by corrupted government officials. So with this problem, they might think a solution of raising the tax of the people, which results to low wages.
Poverty. Poverty is a social issue that's rampant around the world. It is currently affecting millions of people in this country alone and is currently growing. It is happening because the government neglected its duty for the people. People lose jobs and opportunity. They are deprived of their daily needs and the programs that will ease in their situation or even make their lives better. These things could have been helpful to them. These could have saved them from the poverty. But the government is run over by corruption, which is the root of everything in this country. The deprivation of transparency of information also hides the government's programs and deals that favor the wealthy. It's also making them wealthier while the poor get poorer. It also leads to the beliefs that the poor brought poverty onto themselves, even though it's the government's incompetence and neglect that caused it, when it could have been prevented if they are fair and mindful of others. And that's all I can say about poverty.
Poverty is a major cause to a lack of education and educational inequality. Poor children frequently lack access to a proper education because it is simply too costly for their families to send them to school. Furthermore, these children are frequently required to work rather than attend to school in order to contribute to their family income and financially sustain their family needs. Education is a means of escaping poverty in the Philippines for many people. This is definitely not the situation in countries like the Philippines, where millions of Filipinos are unable to access school and hence poverty results from a lack of education.
One of the effects of poor governance is a well-known issue of women here in our country, which is teenage pregnancy. In fact, the Philippines has one of the highest teenage pregnancy rates among the Asian countries. This problem may result in poor health outcome and could be a threat to the country's economic growth. Pregnant adolescents are less likely to complete higher education and have lesser ability to earn more income over the course of a lifetime, causing economic losses to the country. The government needs to focus more attention on preventing this issue, but the lack of support and even funds for proper education for the youth will not solve this issue.
Okay, so ito yung picture ko po for social issues. Makikita niyo po yung data ng rapid population growth sa Philippines. Okay. So, another cause for poor governance is rapid population growth here in the Philippines. Why is it related sa poor governance? Kasi first, it's their job na ma-implement yung pagkakaroon ng sex education sa mga tao, especially the youth. Dito kasi sa Philippines, parang sobrang tabu pa na pag-usapan yung sex education. O kaya the mere fact na i-mention mo yung sex, parang sobrang close-minded pa ng mga tao, mostly sa mga Filipino. And regarding that, I read an article na sinasabi ni Popcom Executive Director Juan Perez III na expected by the end of 2021, there will be 166,775 families na ilaled ng minors. So, sobrang alarming niya given the fact na yun nga, ang rapid growth, sobrang rapid nung growth ng population. Lack of access sa birth control, lack of access sa mga contraceptives, walang proper education about family planning, hindi na-educate both men and women, youth or adults. Kasi hindi naman lahat aware sa issue na to. So yes, it is a job for the government. Affected dito hindi lang sa isang family, kundi sa community, which will eventually lead na magkakaroon ng big impact sa country and will cause poverty.
Decline in environmental quality or health causes environmental degradation, and this happens through consumption of the environment assets. Corruption as the main problem affects the environment as it reduces ecological efficiency by resource misallocation. Furthermore, it fosters environmental damage by means of lessening the organization or programs that advocates positive green energy as well as sustainable and renewable resources. Different sectors are exposed to corruption, such as forestry, protection of endangered species, fisheries, water supply, oil exploitation, and hazardous waste management. If corruption won't come to an end, problems that are interconnected will get severe and our lives will be in danger.
Number 1, what should be done to prevent the major problem to happen? Since we have identified the cause or roots of the problem, we can start by fixing the justice system and holding those who disobey the law accountable for their actions. Number 2, what can the group contribute to the solution? Since we are currently students right now, the best thing that we can do is to use our rights to vote and choose leaders who are willing to help the country for the better. And that is it about our presentation. Thank you all for watching.